Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia. Welcome to Mission Vocab. Today's advanced English vocabulary lesson covers 10 SAT words in context with a clear definition, 3 examples, common synonyms, and a practical usage note for each word. Let's begin. Number 1. Abase. Abase is a verb that means to deliberately lower someone's status, dignity, or power through humiliation, submission, or self degradation, often to assert control, enforce hierarchy, or gain favor. For example, the dictator tried to abase the captured general by stripping off his medals, forcing him to kneel, and making him beg before his former soldiers. The bully abased the new student by making him apologize for a mistake he had not made while the whole class watched and laughed. To win the ruler's favor, the advisor abased himself by calling his own work worthless and praising every foolish order, even when he believed the ruler's plans would harm the kingdom. Synonyms for abase include degrade, humiliate, debase, and demean. Abase is formal and means lowering another person's or your own dignity, status, or self respect. It is a verb, abase someone or abase oneself, and abasement is a noun, as in a state of abasement. Number 2, balk. Balk is a verb that means to refuse or hesitate to act, especially when faced with pressure or uncertainty, often stopping suddenly and resisting what others expect or demand in the moment. For example, the horse balked at the narrow bridge, planting its hooves firmly in the ground and refusing to move forward despite the rider's commands. She agreed to the interview at first, but she may balk if the producer demands permission to discuss her private medical history on camera. Several nations balked at signing the treaty because its final terms would give foreign inspectors access to sensitive military facilities. Synonyms for balk include hesitate, recoil, object, refuse, or stop. Balk is neutral. It means refusing or hesitating when pressure or uncertainty makes you resist what is expected. It is a verb, balk at the terms, or a noun in baseball. A balk is an illegal pitching move. Number 3, cacophony. Cacophony is a noun that means a harsh, jarring mixture of sounds, often created when loud, clashing noises combine in a way that overwhelms the ear and disrupts any sense of harmony. For example, at rush hour, a cacophony of horns, sirens, shouted warnings, and screeching brakes echoed between the tall downtown buildings. The construction crew created a cacophony of drills, hammers, reversing trucks, and grinding metal that made conversation nearly impossible. When the orchestra began tuning its violins, cellos, trumpets, and woodwinds, the hall filled with a brief cacophony of competing notes before the conductor arrived. Synonyms for cacophony include din, discord, dissonance, racket, and clamor. Cacophony is formal. It describes harsh sounds that clash unpleasantly, while its literary sense is technical. It is a noun, a cacophony of voices, a cacophony of horns, or a cacophony of machinery. Number 4, daunting. Daunting is an adjective that means intimidating or overwhelming, often because something appears difficult, risky, or beyond one's ability, causing hesitation or fear before even attempting the task. For example, sorting 20 years of tax records into labeled boxes felt daunting because Lauren had to identify, organize, and cross reference thousands of documents before the audit. Rebuilding the burned school was daunting. Crews had to remove damaged materials, restore the electrical system, replace classrooms and equipment, and finish before students returned in September. Speaking English before 500 people seemed daunting to Amir because he had never addressed such a large audience and worried that nervousness would make him lose his words. Synonyms for daunting include intimidating, formidable, overwhelming, discouraging, and unnerving. Daunting is neutral and describes something difficult or intimidating enough to cause worry or reduce confidence. It is an adjective, a daunting task, and dauntingly is an adverb, dauntingly complex. Number 5, ebullient. Ebullient is an adjective that means cheerful and full of energy, often describing someone whose excitement or enthusiasm bubbles over and spreads easily to others in a lively, expressive way. For example, after winning the championship, the team's captain gave an ebullient interview, laughing, shouting, and bouncing with excitement as her energy spilled over and energized everyone watching. After rescuers found the missing children alive, the usually quiet captain became ebullient, hugging volunteers, raising both arms, and shouting the good news. The ebullient host welcomed each guest with a broad smile, laughed often, and started a group dance before dinner was served. Synonyms for ebullient include exuberant, vivacious, effervescent, and high spirited. Ebullient is formal and describes someone lively, enthusiastic, and energetic. It is an adjective, as in an ebullient mood. Ebullience is a noun, as in youthful ebullience. And ebulliently is an adverb, as in spoke ebulliently. Multiple pronunciations of ebullient are considered acceptable, so you may hear the word pronounced slightly differently by different speakers. Number 6, fabricate. Fabricate is a verb that means to invent or make up something false, especially a story or excuse, or to construct something by assembling parts, often implying deception or artificial creation. For example, the executive ordered staff to fabricate sales figures by recording non existent purchases, making the struggling company appear more profitable to investors than it actually was. Investigators alleged that officers had fabricated evidence by planting the suspect's fingerprints on a weapon that had never been found at the robbery scene. Rather than admit he had missed the deadline, Joe fabricated a story about a computer failure and claimed that corrupted files had erased his completed work. Synonyms for fabricate include manufacture, make up, build, invent, and falsify. Fabricate is formal for inventing false information. In manufacturing, it is technical and means making products. It is a verb, fabricate evidence, and fabrication is a noun, as in a complete fabrication. Number 7, garish. Garish is an adjective that means showily bright or flashy in a tasteless way, often describing colors, clothing, or design that seem loud, crude, and meant to attract attention rather than admiration. For example, the restaurant's garish decor combined neon green walls, gold statues, flashing purple lights, and red velvet booths, making the entire dining room feel loud and tasteless. The designer rejected the garish advertisement because its clashing colors, oversized lettering, and blinking graphics made the company's new campaign look cheap and unprofessional. Critics called the celebrity's garish red carpet outfit excessive, pointing to its fluorescent orange fabric, silver sequins, and towering feathered shoulders under bright camera lights. Synonyms for garish include gaudy, flashy, loud, tawdry, and glaring. Garish is disapproving and describes something unpleasantly bright, colorful, or showy in a tasteless way. It is an adjective, garish decor, and garishly is an adverb, as in garishly decorated. Number 8, hackneyed. Hackneyed is an adjective that means overused and unoriginal, often describing phrases, ideas, or expressions that have been repeated so often they feel dull, predictable, and lacking any fresh impact. For example, The graduation speech felt hackneyed because it relied on familiar lines about following your dreams and never giving up instead of sharing anything personal or original. The marketing team rejected the hackneyed slogan because phrases like quality you can trust had appeared in countless ads and no longer made the company stand out. Reviewers criticized the film's hackneyed plot, which followed the familiar story of a reluctant hero saving the world, with almost no original plotlines or surprises. Synonyms for hackneyed include trite, banal, cliched, and stale. Hackneyed is disapproving and describes something overused until it feels boring, unoriginal, or ineffective. It is an adjective, a hackneyed phrase, a hackneyed plot, or a hackneyed idea. Number 9, iconoclast. Iconoclast is a noun that means a person who challenges or rejects established beliefs or traditions, often by criticizing widely accepted ideas and pushing against authority, convention, or long standing cultural norms. For example, the professor was an iconoclast who challenged long standing theories in his field, earning praise from younger scholars and fierce criticism from traditional academics alike. The artist became an iconoclast by rejecting the movement's accepted rules and developing a radically different style that later influenced a new generation of young painters. The columnist was labeled an iconoclast because she repeatedly challenged popular political assumptions, even when her arguments angered readers across the political spectrum. Synonyms for iconoclast include rebel, nonconformist, radical, and maverick. Iconoclast is formal and describes someone who challenges accepted beliefs, traditions, or institutions. It is a noun, an iconoclast, and iconoclastic is an adjective, as in iconoclastic ideas. Number 10, jubilant. Jubilant is an adjective that means to feel or show great joy or triumph, often expressed openly through celebration, excitement, or relief after success, victory, or the long awaited arrival of good news. For example, after months of practice, Isabella was jubilant when she passed her driving test on the first try, hugging her father and calling several friends to share the good news that evening. The sales team was jubilant after winning the company's largest contract of the year, cheering in the conference room as their manager announced the long awaited deal to everyone. Jubilant fans flooded the streets after their national team won the World Cup, waving flags, singing, and celebrating the historic victory well into the night. Synonyms for jubilant include overjoyed, elated, exultant, ecstatic, and triumphant. Jubilant is neutral and describes intense happiness, especially after success or victory. It is an adjective, a jubilant crowd, and jubilation is a noun, as in scenes of jubilation. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to build a stronger, more precise English vocabulary, subscribe to Mission Vocab for more lessons like this. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, and I'll see you in the next lesson.